I'm going to do a little bit of a history because, oh, did it just start recording now? It did, okay. So I'm going to give a little bit of a history today just to make sure that you know who we are in case some of you are first timers with us. Step Up is a Minneapolis program that started back in 2003 with the idea that we wanted to create really amazing experiences for our youth. Since that time, we've created about 34,000 high quality internships with wonderful supervisors like yourself and wonderful organizations like the University of Minnesota. We are a partnership of the City of Minneapolis, as I said, Achieve Twin Cities, Career Force Minneapolis, and Project for Pride in Living. Just some really fun results. I just want to let you know that what we're doing has great impact. 94% of students said their internship was a valuable learning experience. And 88% of supervisors that Step Up was a success in their workplace. Part of that is about how we prepare, and that's something we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. 87% of supervisors said their interns made a valuable contribution to the workplace, and again, that's about preparation. And 93% of interns said they felt they made a valuable contribution to the company or organization that they worked with. There are a lot of great reasons to be a Step Up supervisor. And just in case you're on the fence, this is you, hopefully. You have a talent for coaching and or mentoring and want to empower our youth with professional skills and experience. You want to pass on your knowledge and passion to the next generation and perhaps inspire them to go to the U of M, especially in this group, right? You could also use some extra help, right? Part of the reason why we have this internship opportunity as a win-win opportunity for all of our employers and our youth is that they can help out with some back burner projects that you might have, and they want to continue or you want to continue to hone your management and leadership skills. So on that note, this is a work opportunity for our youth. This is work experience. So we're going to talk about this in a little bit more when we get to what a job description form should look like and some of the things we need to make sure that we're considering when we're preparing for the summer. But they're here to do real work. There are some great examples right here. They can do some data management. They can review documents. They can help you get some social media out, or they can even do things like help out in a lab, right? If you need some extra hands, that's what our youth are here to help you do. And if you have a great experience that can help them gain some extra skills, that's what we want to try to set up. To make this kind of straightforward, right now we're in what is called the job description phase. Fortunately for all of you wonderful supervisors out there, all of the other documentation has already been taken care of by the University of Minnesota. So what we need from you is those JDFs. They are due by March 15th. If you need a little bit of wiggle room, please let us know ahead of time. But we would prefer to get those in because we start doing matching with our students and start doing a lot of prep work to get that matching done right. So it gets you the right.
Hey Scott, sorry to interrupt, but I've noticed in the chat that some people are having trouble hearing you. You kind of sound muffled with your microphone. And
no.
Yeah, I know we were having that trouble the other day, so I don't know if there is anything that you can do or just to talk a little bit slower or a little bit louder so that folks can hear you.
Absolutely, and thank you for the heads up. How does this sound? Is it better?
It is a little better to me. I'm not sure about everyone else, though. Yeah.
Great. If anyone has a hard time hearing me, please just raise your hand so that I have an indication that it's hard to hear. Okay? Great. Thank you, guys. So what I was saying is that the JDFs are due by March 15th, and we're going to walk through what that process looks like. Again, today's information session is about talking through the process that we need to go through to set you and our interns up for success. The internships will start on June 24th and are going to go to August 16th. You'll hear that said a couple of times, but if you have any questions about that, Denise and Joey are both here to support as well as myself. In order to find the JDF, you have this wonderful website that the Office of Equity and Diversity has set up for you with lots of great information. I've highlighted it up at the very top. You can kind of see what's going on. So you can see that website there. We'll also make sure to drop that into the chat today as well, just in case you haven't seen it somewhere else. Inside of the website, there is right there in this little box, how do I hire a step-up intern? A link. It's a hyperlink that'll bring you right to the job descriptions form. We need a job description for each of the jobs that you want to have done inside of your, inside of your summer internship. If you have duplicates, like you need two office assistants or you need two laboratory assistants or anything like that, just let us know that and we can duplicate those, or you can also indicate the number of interns that you would like as well. Also inside of the same website are going to be all the tools you need to fill out that job description form. You'll see that there are actually job description libraries. So if you don't want to reinvent a wheel, you can always go there and use that as a reference. And if you have any issues at all, email me right away. Please CC Denise so that she's aware of what's going on. And I can actually jump onto a phone call with you and walk you through the JDF like operations as well. Okay, so I just want to let you know that I'm here to support everyone here. This is what you're going to see when you click on that link, and then you're going to go through the process. Please take note that you've gotten some special, instructions on how to fill this out, and take note of that. I know you've been emailed about that as well. One of the things I would like for you to think about as we go through this job description form is, what is a recipe for a high quality internship? I want you to think about some critical skills that can lead to success in your field, right? This is an opportunity for our youth to work with and learn from you. It's also something I'm going to talk about more during supervisor training, but I want to highlight this as something to think about while you're filling out the JDF, because those transferable skill sets are things that our youth are going to use to grow their careers. So highlight those, think about those, and use those. I see an ear from Denise. Can you hear me okay? All right, great. I want you to also be specific, okay? Have a clear work plan. Communicate that work plan with your youth. This is not something you're going to fill out in the JDF. It's something you're going to create after the JDF. But while you're filling out the JDF, you can kind of think about how those two things interplay, your job description and the actual plan for the work. Finally, I want to make sure that you are focusing on empowering your interns. I feel like this is a really easy space to say that, because in academia, our goal is to make sure to empower our youth anyways. Just want to highlight that again. And one other final important note is you might need to make some adjustments when you actually get your intern, depending on their strengths and their weaknesses and any other things you might learn. Just keep that in mind as you are preparing for the summer. Just so you know what we're doing on our end right now, our youth are actually going through work readiness training and are preparing for mock interviews coming up in March from the 19th to the 21st, which, by the way, shameless plug, we are looking for volunteers to support on. I'll make sure to send that to Denise and Joy so they can share that with you as well. Once we train our youth on work readiness training, they're going to go through a process where we're going to actually help them identify career interests. And that's how we use them, or that we use that information to match them with your opportunities. So the level of detail you give us in the job description form helps us make that match. We're then going to actually provide support for you and our youth through the entire matching and internship experience this summer. And we're going to be coming around. You'll probably see some of us, maybe myself, to provide some job coaching support. One of the additional things I'll be including in our supervisor training this year is going to be some extra tools in case you need them for any mental health crises. And also, I just want to refer back to Denise and Joy. You have some amazing resources at the University of Minnesota as well. On that note, I'm going to quickly hand things back up to Denise and Joy, and then we'll come back and we can have a conversation and I can answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. This is Denise speaking. I wanted to let you know a couple of things that are specific about the University of Minnesota as participants in the Step Up program. And give me just a second. I'm going to add something to the link chat. This is a document that will be available on the OED web page as well. It's just intended to be a resource to help you guys answer questions that might come up as you're continuing to consider participating in the program. And so here comes the link. So firstly, Scott had mentioned part of like we're in the process of the stage of preparing your job descriptions and thinking about what the role will be for your intern and submitting that job description form. Specifically for the University of Minnesota, there are several questions on the job description form that ask about your capacity to work with an individual who might have maybe a disability accommodation. And to ensure that we stay in compliance with university policy, it's going to be really important that you answer yes to all the questions. I outlined the questions in the document that I just put in the chat. I'm not going to go through them here, but you can see what those questions are and just make sure that you answer yes to all the questions. If you had any concerns, once you've had a chance to look at the JDF and look at those questions, if you have any concerns about them, please feel free to give me, reach out to me and I can, we can talk about that or can connect you with some of our colleagues in the Disability Resource Center who can also help you navigate that. So, but what's most important is when you get to those questions as a University of Minnesota employee to stay in compliance, we have to answer yes, okay? Excuse me. The other important information that is unique to the University of Minnesota as a Step Up employer partner is the university has a safety of minors policy. And again, it's imperative that we are mindful of what the expectations and policy are for anyone working with a minor on campus. So that information is also provided for you in the document that I added to the chat. I don't really want to go into a lot of detail because that is not my wheelhouse. We have someone from the Safety of Minors office who works with us, but they are in a transition and I just haven't been made aware of who our new contact will be, but I did provide the information, links to their website, links to the policy and so on, in hopes that that will be informative for you. Again, as you consider hiring an intern, it's really important to know what those expectations for working with someone who is a minor. And I will just mention a couple of things that are expected per the policy, and that is they want anyone participating in the program to register on, it's called Youth Central, and it's I think it takes like maybe 5 minutes. It's pretty short. And then they also want any direct supervisor of a minor to also go through what is called the Campus Security Authority training. And I believe that is only about maybe 15 minutes of your time to complete. Those are two important pieces that they do expect, but there's a lot more to take into consideration if you're working with a minor. That's really going to be important. And again, in lieu of a contact being identified from Safety of Minors, I'm happy to address any questions that people might have to the best of my ability, but I think most of it's pretty straightforward. And I will add that if any of you here are former supervisors, I would love you to share any experience that you've had if working with a minor on campus, just to give folks who haven't an opportunity to know what that's like, what the difference is. So And then the last thing I wanted to just mention is about funding support. I think Scott mentioned, Scott, did you cover that? I'm so sorry, I can't remember.
I did not. I left that to you.
Oh, okay. All right. So Step Up sets the salary expectations. And so they ask that we hire, if you decide to hire an intern, their salary has to be a minimum of $16 an hour. You can certainly pay them more, but that's the minimum that you need to commit to. And the Office for Equity and Diversity, through the President's Office, does have a limited amount of funding available to support or supplement the cost, up to $10 of that $16 salary. So essentially, if you applied for the funding support and you receive it, then your department is only going to be responsible for $6 an hour plus the fringe, which I believe is like 7.7%. So just be mindful of that. That information is also included in the document I added to the chat. It's also available on the website. There's a simple Google form that you just fill out. Again, it's very limited resources, unfortunately, but so if your department, has a, strong budget, I'd ask that you not apply for the support, because there's some that are just really small and just don't have it and would love to be able to participate in the program. So I think that's all of the things that I had to cover. I'm going to shift now to our colleague, Joy Harkin, who works in the medical school Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, to talk a little bit about some specific things to the medical school. So Joy.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Joy Harkin, and I am the Director of DEI in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I have also been a Step Up supervisor in years past, and have gone through the process of submitting a JDF and a job description. And I guess a couple things that I just wanted to point out. One, I will be the point of contact for all medical school departments. So if you're coming to us and joining us and wanting to host a Step Up intern this summer, and you are in a medical school department, then you will be coordinating a little bit more with me for the end of the summer report. And also we have some supplemental funding that is available to medical school departments. There isn't a lot in there, and it will be first come, first serve. So if you know that you want to submit a job description and be matched with a Step Up intern this summer, then be watching for, there's already been some communication that's gone out, but I will send it out again and get you that link so that you can fill out the correct form. There's one form for all of the University of Minnesota, and then there's a separate form just for medical school departments. So if you need that, if you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I can help you out with that. And the other thing is just to uplift and reiterate that you don't have to already be a supervisor to host a Step Up intern and to supervise a Step Up intern. I have approached this as an opportunity for folks and staff members on your team that are maybe looking at some professional development and maybe looking at wanting to build those skills to manage and lead other staff members. And so this gives them that opportunity to write a good job description and provide that guidance and oversight and feedback and recognition to a Step Up intern. So this is a great way for supervisors or those that have an interest in wanting to take on some more responsibility and want to develop their own skill set and have that experience. This is a great way to do that in a really defined period of time. So it's not too much time. It's I think 8 weeks in total. And so I'm here for any questions that you might have about what types of activities and projects that you might have a Step Up intern on. And my other tip would be to leave room for adaptability. So we had written a pretty extensive job description when we hosted a Step Up intern a couple of years ago. And once we met our Step Up intern and got acclimated and started working the plan with them, realized that we needed to make some adaptations to make it a little bit more relevant and valuable for the step up intern. And so just be ready to adapt and tailor the job description once the step up intern starts, if that's what's best for them. Maybe they can do more of this and less of another activity or task. So those are all questions that I'm here to bounce off of you if you have any. So it's good to meet you. And just Scott, to uplift, there's you can re-add the link for the slides to the chat, and looks like they're not accessible. So if you can open up the access that people can click on it and open it up.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to share the file, the whole file with everyone, so everyone has it. I can't do that while I'm in the middle of a presentation. So I'm gonna first of all, I just want to say thank you, and I wanted to reiterate exactly what Joy said. You know, this is a really great training opportunity for everyone. I know that a lot of folks here already are supervisors and managers, so it's just a great place where you can kind of hone some of those skills and you know, have some new talent come into your world as well. So thank you for reiterating that. I'm actually going to jump to the question section, which means that I'd love to hear from all of you. And I know Denise, Joy, and I are here to answer your questions. I'm going to close out of this so I can close it down and share the file with you as well. And we can just kind of see each other here quick. On that note, if you have a question, please raise your hand and our wonderful moderators will call it. Joe? All right, I see that people are deep in thought right now. I can hear the gears turning. I hope that I was trying to kind of be really straightforward and nuts and bolts with this today. So if I've answered all of your questions as well, I'm really happy. But you know, some of those finer questions maybe are around you know, onboarding or any processes like that. See, Victoria has her hand raised. Hi, Victoria. Oh. Is Victoria, are you speaking?
Victoria, we can't hear you, but feel free to put your question in the chat and we'd be happy to share that way as well.
Thank you. All right. Hi, Lisa. Let's see if we can get your mic working here.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes. So I was trying to be proactive and I submitted my JDF yesterday. And I'm wondering if I can get a copy of what I submitted. And just due to the nature of what we did, I did put some caveats on it just because we do surgery and use animals and there's blood. So I did put that in my JDF just so that people would know that when they come to this surgical research laboratory, they may be exposed to things that maybe they haven't been before. So I hope that, you know, they said to do a very specific job description. So I just wanted to give them a heads up. It's not like a marketing research thing. It's an actual research surgical laboratory and we'd be doing data and surgical procedures. So I hope that's okay.
No, that's actually, Lisa, an example of being clear and specific, and that's perfect, right? You know, there are youth that say they want to get in the medical world, but then you ask them a question. And by the way, we talk to our youth before we make the match and we say, okay, great. Well, how are you with blood? How are you with, you know, dissecting animals in your case, right? And that's a specific question that we will be prompted to make sure that we're communicating with your potential match so that we can, you know, first of all, verify that they are actually okay with that. And yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. I see questions.
So will I be, so I submitted it, but I don't have a copy of it and I want to have it for next year if somebody else does this in my place. And I'm just wondering how I can get a copy of what I submitted.
Sure, I can actually pull down some files, and if everyone would like a copy so they don't have to reinvent wheels every year, I am so happy to provide that to make everyone's life easier. And that's something that we can coordinate with
Okay.
Denise and Joy.
I like to make a file and have all my documents, so thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so I am seeing questions coming in. I'm going to kind of go from the top here. So I heard $16 an hour, but is there a commitment to the number of hours per week? So what we ask is, a minimum of 15 hours per week. And our hope is that, that minimum right there is going to be a place where you can get some help, our youth can get some experience, but you can also have some more time. We find that 20 to 25 hours a week tends to be like a great place for youth to have good experience and, meaningful work. 24 hours is like 3 work days. So you kind of need to figure out what your budget can handle. 15 hours is our minimum to that question though. And I did put here we go. I'm gonna actually send this to everyone. I did put the file in here as well for everyone. I'm gonna resend it. I actually just sent it to one person. Sorry about that. And everyone should have that file. All the information that's in there, you can find on the U of M website as well. And I see Victoria had her question. There it is. It says, I'm with the College of Veterinary Medicine, and this is not part of the medical college, right? We are BSL2 lab. I'm going to let Joy answer that one.
Yeah, so I think that that's part of the broader health sciences part of the university. But Denise, do we usually send the vet med departments, veterinary medicine, and dentistry and other places as part of like the big U, and the medical schools just for the clinical medical school departments? There's like 26 of them.
Correct. That is correct. So the easiest way, I think, to know if you should go to Joy to request funding or go to the OED is if your department is a part of the medical school. And I would say the best way, if you're just not sure, ask Joy. She'll be able to tell you, no, you're not a part of the medical school. I would struggle with that, to be honest. But yeah, everyone is welcome to apply to the OED funding supports. And oftentimes I will get requests from folks in the medical school, and that's okay. I just send you to Joy, so no worries.
Yes, if you fill out the wrong form, don't worry.
Yeah.
Denise and I will coordinate, and we'll make sure that your request for supplemental funding gets to the right person.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Victoria, for that question. Also, I just want to, Catherine, I see you. I'm going to really quick, since we're on funding a little bit, jump to the website. It says the cost of an intern is around $5,000. And that would be based on more like 30 to 40 hours a week for an 8-week period, right?
Yes, sorry, I didn't know my mic was still on. Yes, that estimate is based on 40 hours a week for 8 weeks. And but it does not include the 7.7% fringe. And so I think it's about $300 more for total if you add the fringe. And I had done my math, which I'm not very good at, but just to give folks an idea, if you receive the funding support from the OED, which again, we cover $10 of the 16, then your department would be responsible for $6 an hour plus the fringe. And based on my calculations, if you were to hire that intern for the full 8 weeks at 40 hours a week, your cost would be approximately, I say approximately because I'm not very good at math, but it's $2,067.20. So that's what your department would be responsible for if you receive the OED funding. So hopefully that's helpful. And if you don't, if you are going to cover it yourself with the fringe, it's $5,513 and some change.
Also, to that point, when you're doing your hourly calculations, if you have any questions, Denise and Joy are available to make sure to verify that with you. And I would say, if you can handle 20 hours a week, obviously it's, math, right? So run the hours that you want and look at your budget. And if you need to coordinate or make a plan with anyone or everyone, we're here to support you on figuring that out. And that's what we're here to do as well today. So great. I'm going to jump back up to Catherine. Is the job description library a good representation of actual jobs that interns ended up doing? It is. Yep. That was something that we actually collected for, over the course of the last 20 some years. So it is a good reference to jump into and to use and to modify to your own needs. The one thing that I really like that Lisa is doing is that she's recognized the opportunity of doing it once, doing it right, and then being able to duplicate it for years moving into the future. Let's see here. All right, we got some more questions coming up, it looks like. So Michael asks, what if we would like them to be on campus once a week or a couple of times a month? Is that okay? I guess, Michael, I was wondering, could you turn on your mic and maybe we could talk about this question a little bit more? I'd like a little bit of clarity. Hi.
Hi. Well, one thing, I think it's just good for these young people to actually go to the workplace. So I don't know if this is an exclusively remote thing, but I think we've gotten away from that exclusively remote thing, that getting out of the house is good for people, right? And we've got lots of space here in the St. Paul campus, but I don't have to have them here all the time, but I would like them to be here some of the time. So it's good for them and it's good for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually to answer it directly, you can have them there the whole time. It's your job. It's
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I would just actually echo what you said, especially for youth that are getting mentorship and work experience. That direct interaction is really beneficial. Our youth are going to be 16 to probably 18 for the most part, but maybe like around 19, 20, depending on where they are on their educational experience. So getting that hands-on experience with you, Michael, I'm going to encourage it. But for everyone else's note, you can create a hybrid scenario. And we even have some employers that do completely remote scenarios. So again, it's kind of like that financing question, which is, think of this as, what you need it to be. And we can flex around that and help you figure that out. Michael, does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Great. All right. Sure. So on that note, it looks like Martrice has a question that says, can you share any examples for remote hybrid work experiences? We are mostly remote with some in-person support for summer orientation. Wonder if this is an okay fit for students. And I just answered it. I did. Yeah. So absolutely. It's really what it comes down to is how you organize what that work plan is going to look like, how you communicate it, how you onboard your youth in preparation for that. The one thing I will say about remote work is that Step Up doesn't provide technology. So our youth would need to have the technology. You need to make sure to indicate that you're not providing technology or you are providing technology in your job description forms so that we can have those conversations and make a good match for you and our youth. I'll just add that little piece onto that. And I see Denise's ear is up. Does anyone else have any great questions? These are great, by the way. Thank you.
I think I'll add, and Denise and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that if they are a minor, if they're under 18, then you do need to be side by side with them at all times. So you would need to be on site with the student worker during that time. That is what my team did, and we split it up, and we had 3 of us as the supervising managers. So it was myself and 2 other of my colleagues. And so we had the summer broke up into 3 sections, 3 equal sections, where one of us was their primary supervisor and manager for 2 to 3 weeks. And we had a specific project work and specific things for her to do during that time. And then we handed off to the next supervising manager. So they were able to have a robust experience, and it wasn't too much of a constraint to each of us for the whole summer. So we focused on it for a couple of weeks, and then we handed them over to the next supervising manager. That seemed to work for our team, and we had a minor, so we needed to be with that person day to day.
Yes, Joy,
Right.
thank you for
Right.
sharing that, because that I was actually going to mention that's the safety of minor policy does require, if you have a intern who is under 18, that they must always be accompanied by an adult. And so that's, again, that's one of those considerations as you are working with your team to develop the internship. That's super important information to be mindful of. It absolutely can work. It's worked many, many times before, but we just want to raise this up early as you're, creating your plan of how you want to work with this young person. I believe in the JDF, you can indicate if you prefer to have someone who is not a minor. That is an option in the JDF form, and there's place for you to sort of explain why, right? So, and it could be a myriad of reasons, but if you have questions as you're contemplating this, feel free to reach out to Scott or myself or Joy if you're from the medical school, so that we can assist you in creating an experience that'll work well for you and the intern. One other note about safety of minors is that there is a background check that any adult that will be supervising a minor will be required to take. That information, we cover a lot more of that information when we do the orientation session. But again, take a look at the safety of minors policy so you can become familiar with the core pieces that are going to be required. And then, of course, all interns will, as employees of the university, they'll actually also have a background check. Again, we'll talk more about that when we get into the orientation session, but welcome any questions that you guys might have. Yeah.
I want to actually really quick on the note of safety, minors, like policies that you have the U of M. This is a question that I could answer in other venues pretty easily. But Jordan asks, I'm not seeing anything on the safety of minors website, but would the interns be able or allowed to use knives? And that's like outside of here, I have an answer, but I want to make sure that I'm U of M specific in my answer.
In that scenario, I want to say yes, provided that the safety training and whatever parameters are there for any employee that would be using the knife, if that makes sense, or training, safety, those kinds of things. But again, I yield to go to the policy, look at that, and let that be your guide. As soon as I find out who our point of contact is going to be from that office, I will gladly share their contact information. Right now in the information I'm listing, Jasmine Danielson, who is someone who we've worked with over the last few years. Jasmine is in a transition where she's going to be leaving. They're in the process of hiring a new person. So I'm just kind of in limbo, but Jasmine did say to just feel free to reach out to her. And I believe her information is at the bottom of that checklist. So you can reach out to Jasmine as well. But yeah, I hope that answered the question, Jordan.
I think it got to the point that for the most part, yes, but verify and communicate if you even feel like it's a gray zone. That's what I was hearing. And I think that's great advice. If they're spinning around a wheel and throwing knives at each other, I would say that's not a great idea. If they're in a laboratory or conducting experiments, that's something that happens. We have youth that work in kitchens, that work in food prep spaces as well. I guarantee there are knives there. The thing that I just want to reemphasize again is safety training, safety monitoring, and being beside youth using those those tools, right? We have youth that get into spaces where they're using Bunsen burners. Again, it's the same kind of thing, right? If not used correctly, it's dangerous, right? We have youth that learn construction skills. Again, if they don't have proper training or monitoring, they could hurt themselves. So I just want to emphasize one thing, which is if you have a plan in place to make sure that there is safety training and this complies with the U of M policy, you're probably okay. I see another great question that says, I've seen references to level 2 interns. Can you talk more about that distinction? And is it something people can request specifically? So, first of all, the distinction is we have basically, some different opportunities with Step Up. We have our youth who are 14 to 15, and that's Step Up level 1. Those are really entry level jobs. And, our youth usually in that space are going to go through the city of Minneapolis. And that is, an age group distinction. That's the major distinction. Anyone who is 16 to 21, but usually kind of falls in that 16 to 18 age group, is going to be a Step Up level 2 intern. And that's the main distinction. And it is something that if you fill out a JDF for Step Up level 2, you'll see an indication field there. Please do indicate that. But also you're filling out a level 2 JDF, so job description form. So I should know that when it comes through. Yep, it's a great question. Thank you guys for these great questions. I hope, if you have any questions, now is a really awesome time. Like things like knives or any concerns that you have, bring them up. It's great for us to talk about them as a group because they might answer other people's concerns as well. So thank you for bringing those up. And by the way, I'm going to make a special request with everyone here. Please, I think that Denise, and Joy, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's going to be a image release form that you'll have you fill out for University of Minnesota. Is that part of onboarding for anyone? I know it is for us. We actually have an image release form that our youth fill out.
So Scott, you're so muffled, at least for me. I don't know what you just said. Something about a release form. Sorry.
Yes. So I was asking if the University of Minnesota has an image release form as part of onboarding.
Yes. I don't know if it's so much Okay. So I want anyone who's going to hire an intern to get me a signed photo release form so that through the summer we can, take, photos and just start to create some resources that we can use when we do the end of the summer celebration and also for marketing purposes in the future. So the photo release form is there's a link to it on that OED Step Up webpage, so you can access it there. And then I'm also have shared it with Step Up in the hopes that they can give it to the interns once those matches are made, along with other documents that they have to, maybe get their parental or guardian signature on, in hopes that, they'll bring it with them on their first day. And if that happens, then my hope is that you will you can scan it and send it to me, you can put it in the mail, or you can bring it to the first engagement activity, which I forgot to mention. We'll maybe talk about that in a second. But yes, we do have one. And yes, it would be great if folks who host an intern would make sure they get that for me.
Yeah, and actually on the same note, we use the stories that you aggregate through these experiences to get youth excited about exploring careers. We use videos and testimonials to get youth excited. We have 3,000 youth sign up this year. We have more than that are actually eligible. So if you have amazing experiences or really unique educational opportunities, and this is a question I want to go back to from Victoria, and our youth are comfortable with you documenting that through photo or video, please do. And Victoria, to your point, this is about the youth and you having a great, safe experience. So if they don't feel comfortable with that, we respect that 110%. And that's something, please do not force this onto them. It's more of a, if our youth are comfortable, we really want to get that so we can get more youth and employers excited about what we're doing. Thank you for that question.
Yes, and thank you for that point, Scott. It's definitely by no means they don't have to sign the photo release. I think there might be some more questions in the chat there. Let's see.
I think that's it for, I don't see any more popping up in the chat.
Okay. Well, I think then, why do I have? The only other thing I just wanted to just do a quick note about is the Step Up does have a supervisor orientation that they host. And on that checklist document, there's a sort of a yellow box at the top with some important dates for you folks to take into consideration. If you know you're going to hire an intern, those orientation dates are there for you to, plan your time. And all of them are virtual except for the last one is in person, right, Scott? Is that right? And then underneath those dates, we have the intern engagement opportunities. There'll be 3 where we do a welcome that first week, and then we are partnering with the Toaster Innovation Lab, and we do a really fun and interactive session with the interns midsummer. And then at the end of the summer, that last week of the internship, we'll host kind of a send-off, just a celebration, recognizing the interns and supervisors for their successful summer and just kind of celebrate together. All of the engagement opportunities are optional, but strongly encouraged. The one piece, again, this is a great example of the safety of minor policy. Let's say you have an intern who's 17. The supervisor or someone who's had that safety of minor background check would need to escort that intern to any activity that, any of these engagement activities. You just can't send them off on their own. You'd have to come with them. And the engagement activities are also designed to be, there's always going to be some time carved out for just supervisors to connect, share how the summer's going, share, maybe some best practices, ideas, etc. And then time where the students are together. So just so you know, this is designed for you and the intern. And so I hope you'll take advantage of those opportunities as well. Let's see. Were there any other questions in the chat that you guys see?
I don't see any other questions. I just want to cover a couple of really so touch points, for processes moving forward. JDFs are what we need by March 15th. We've got all those great tools inside of the EOD website. Please use them. If you have any questions, even a little one, if you're like, is the scalpel different than a knife? Great question. Ask us. We'll help you figure it out. I also just wanted to offer an opportunity for everyone to volunteer. If you'd like to meet some of these amazing youth or jump into a space where you can support their growth, we have mock interviews coming up in March here that I just added a link there. It's the 19th through the 21st. And I just want to thank everyone so sincerely. I know today was a lot of nuts and bolts and kind of dry. I hope the next time that we meet, I can be a little bit just more excited to share some amazing things that are happening. But if you have any final questions, now's a great time to ask. And if you think of them immediately after this, how about feedback on our JDF? Would you be open to that? Hi, Solon. I think you're asking if I could give you some feedback. Sure. Yeah, I've got everyone's back. If you want to reach out to me to go through this process and set up a phone call, I can do that. Joy can do that. We're here for everyone to make sure that you feel really comfortable and successful in this space. Thank you. That's all I have today.
Thank you so much, Scott. This session was scheduled to go until 12:30, but I will gladly give you the gift of time unless there are other questions that folks have.
All right, I think silence is the answer sometimes.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and I really hope that you will be able to host an intern this summer. And yeah, take care. Enjoy, everyone.